Well, good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, where I have what's really a pretty significant win coming out of Canada. I would call this kind of major, massive winning, considering all that we've seen in Canada. By the way, like my hat my listener got me. Anyways, here's the thing. Off LifeSite News, an Ontario judge defends the mom's stance not to jab her kids and rebukes blind obedience to government experts. I kid you not. Listen to this. This is amazing. An Ontario Superior Court judge has sided with a mother who sought to protect her children from being jabbed against their will and acknowledged that children could potentially be harmed. A key judgment by Justice A. Pazarats ruling in favor of a mother who doesn't want to do this with her kids. Okay? Now, you got to hear what the judge said, though. This is what's so amazing. The Honorable Mr. Justice Alex Pazarats offered his judgment on February 22nd regarding a family court case between JN and CG with court file number 987/18, where the father wanted to have his kids get the shot and sought to prove that the mother was perpetuating conspiracy theories and hesitancy to the children. The children, who were identified as LEG and MDG, are 10 and 12 years old. It was the father's opinion that the mother should do what the government said. Okay? But the judge here disagreed with the father's reasoning and offered a scathing critique of his arguments and the state of free expression in Canada. This is where it gets amazing, because we've just seen the beautiful truckers, the convoys, and the crackdown of the government against anything that doesn't go with what they want to say. See, and where has it ever been the good guys in history who are trying to silence dissent? I don't know. Okay? The judge asked this question. When did it become illegal to ask questions, especially in the courtroom? He began the judgment by asking if the term misinformation is even a real word. Or has it become a crass, self-serving tool to preempt scrutiny and discredit your opponent? You know, hey, this is misinformation. Well, what about this? No, I don't even have to respond. It's just like, I tell you what it is. It's misinformation. Listen to me. He castigated the use of the term misinformation and called its usage childish and sinister. That's right, sinister. The judge did not mention Prime Minister Justin Trudeau by name, but called foul on the rhetoric that Trudeau has used. How did we lower our guard and let words unacceptable beliefs get paired together in a democracy on the scales of justice? The demonizing and punishment of anyone who disagrees drives polarization, disrespect, and simmering anger. He called this tactic an odious trend, rapidly corrupting modern social discourse that seems to be working for politicians. But folks, it's not working for everybody else. Considering the statements and evidence put forth by both parents, Pazarats wrote, the mother's evidence focused entirely on the medical and scientific issues, in his opinion. Of course, I don't have an opinion on that, but in the judge's opinion. So we're clear. He acknowledged in his ruling the list of potential... Whoa, can you even say that? I don't know. I mean, over here? But this is the judge in his ruling. This is straight from the ruling. Can I read a court ruling anymore? Is that acceptable? He just said that there was these potential effects, and he cited data about it, and I won't get into, all these effects, my gosh, have occurred in some people. And most of these symptoms began within a few days. I got to skip ahead here. I don't think the way this judge talks is YouTube approved, so I'm going to skip ahead, okay? We can't talk about what judges say. I'm just trying to give you a cursory overview of what the judge said. He did say this, it's very hard to fault a parent for being worried about these things. Yeah, it is. I mean, if it's a mom, right? I mean, you can't really fault her for being concerned about her kids, wanting to maybe know a little bit more. He contrasted the mother's evidence-based concerns with those of the father. The father focused extensively on labeling and discrediting the mother as a person. Where have we heard that? Othering people, labeling, discrediting, like the fringe minority, a basket of deplorables. Where have we heard these words before? In a dismissive attempt to argue that her views aren't worthy of consideration. No, we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to explain. I don't need to answer any questions. Your views are unacceptable. You hold unacceptable views. You are a fringe minority, and I don't need to listen to you. The judge provided a summary of the father's affidavits, which were mostly bits of information concerning her affiliation with the People's Party of Canada. So apparently she's part of this fringe minority. According to the dad, she can't be listened to. How is any of this relevant? Asked the judge. Have we reached the stage where parental rights are going to be decided based on what political party you belong to? Well, if you notice what came out of Ottawa, apparently that is what they wanted to do, right? They were threatening to take away parents' kids because they were part of a peaceful protest. Because, you can burn and loot, but man, you cannot have peaceful protests. That doesn't make the government look good when you don't go nuts, okay? Even though the father may not admit it, this is still a free country. This is the judge again. Even though the father may not admit it, this is still a free country and people can say what they want. Pazaratz intimated that this sort of mentality has even found its way into the courtroom. We're seeing more and more of this type of intolerance, vilification, and dismissive character assassination in family court. Presumably, we're seeing it inside the courtroom because it's rampant outside the courtroom. The crux of the dispute between the parents, according to the judge, is that both children have sufficient age, intelligence, maturity, and independence of thought to understand the issue and formulate their own views, feelings, comfort level, questions, and fears about what should or should not happen to their bodies. He called out the father's reluctance to admit that his children and their mother had good reasons for their stance. He says, this is the judge again, in this case, the father doesn't like what the children are saying, so he submits their views aren't worthy of consideration, just as he submits the mother's views aren't worthy of consideration. How does that, a mother's views, the mother who birthed the kid, and her views then become not worthy of consideration? This all goes back to, where we're like that guy over at the World Economic Forum who just talks about, really you're not an individual soul and you need to get over that, and because you're just part of the collective and your DNA is part of the collective and it's really not your own. Okay? The judge contrasted the information provided by both parents and clearly sided with the mother's submission over the father's, while the judge did not pick sides concerning whether or not, whether or not they're good for the kids. That's not his job, he said. He evaluated the types of arguments the parents made and found the mother's to be measured and insightful, while the father's, was just dismissive and kind of rude of the mother. The mother submitted articles. I am not for one moment, this is the judge, suggesting that we should presume the mother's experts are right. But once we determine they're not crackpots and charlatans, how can we presume that they are wrong or that they couldn't possibly rewrite about things, okay? When children's lives are at stake, how can we ignore this? The information provided by the father, was just a litany of publications from provincial and federal government, and the judge said he wasn't persuaded by this attempt. And again, we're dealing with, parental rights, parental concerns, and this dismissive attitude. And the problem is, it seems like maybe the father is friends with Justin Trudeau and just wants to other the mother. Oh, I'm a poet. Did you catch that? He wanted to other the mother? That's pretty good. You guys, you can watch this stuff for free. You can get all this wisdom of mine for free. It's unbelievable. Anyways, he finished the postscript stating, "It's irrelevant to my decision and it's none of anyone's business, but I am fully jabbed. My choice. I mention this because I am acutely aware how polarized the world has become. We should all return to discussing the issues rather than making presumptions about one another. This judge, amazing decision, well written, but that's a massive win up there in Canada. And, you know, speaking of which, Canada, you can get the My Pillow Canada flag or the Lumberjack Logic, or you can get pet blankets, pet beds. My dogs fight over the My Pillow bed now, you know. So anyways, promo code Lumberjack, save you up to 66%. Get yourself some great stuff over at mypillow.com. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I look forward to seeing you on the next edition of Lumberjack Logic. Peace out.